Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Success Stories with Fred Arnold. I'm with Howard Tons, my good friend Howard. He owns Tectonic Fitness. It's a fitness gym dedicated to special needs athletes, provides them a safe, secure, and fun place to work out. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What a unique concept, idea, need.
Yep.
Tell us about the special needs community, how you serve them.
Well, we started our gym about a year and a half ago, and it was the gym itself, the physical location that we put together and opened. But I had been doing this already for 5 years going from home to home, I was driving all over Santa Clarita. I was driving out in the San Fernando Valley and seeing clients. And it got to be a point where I just could not take on any more clients. And I work with
because the need is big out.
It's huge. And Santa Clarita has got one of the largest, special needs population, and especially for the size of the city. So we have a need. And I had one of the people that directs a lot of clients to me said, "Hey, listen, you can't keep doing what you're doing. You need to open up a facility." And I said, "I don't want to open up a facility." And so she's twisting my arm over months. And finally, I just go, I'll open up a facility. And I did. And here we are today, and it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, you take up the first floor, 360 Suites, the 900 property. And it started with a small gym and a small concept. And the exciting thing for me was seeing you build it out with a few of your employees or your athletes, if you will, that trainers.
Right.
And seeing, okay, you built out this, and then you took another space and built out that to the React room. Really neat to see how you got your hands dirty with that. But tell me about the different spaces at Tectonic Fitness and how these uniquely abled athletes are able to get so much therapy that they need.
So, as you know, when we sat down and had our initial meeting, and I told you what I wanted to do, and it was because how we put our deal together is the only reason why I was going to do this. My biggest fear was getting involved into a lease and getting myself tied up with something that was somewhat unknown waters. I was very comfortable with what I was doing. We were doing very well, but this was a big jump for me. So we took the first room, the conference room that you had there, turned it into a gym, which when I came over there and I saw it, I was, I don't know if this is going to work, because this is not traditional.
No.
By any stretch.
But your gym, it's not a gym. It's a place. It's a place of therapy. It's a place of healing. It's a place of success.
It is.
It's really not your traditional where a whole bunch of people, because you're typically training 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 or 3-on-1, not big groups.
No, it is not big groups. And the concept it grew from there. And then suddenly you had another tenant that moved out down the hall. And then I had this concept, and then I grabbed that room and created the React project. And React turned out to be, it was a field of dreams where if you build it, they will come. And I have never been a believer of that, ever. I don't think that's a good business policy to have, but I did it. And it turned out to be just amazing. So then came React, which we specialize in. Then there's fitness training for the body, but is there training for the brain? And so that's what React does. We teach how to focus, concentration, executive decision making, and reaction time. And so that's what React is all about. And that has blossomed into such a great program for us. And then comes the next room, which I wanted to
the next room came available. Howard, you want this next room? And you made a red light therapy. Tell us about the red light therapy.
Red light therapy is amazing. It supports, everybody should be doing red light first off. And when you look at what red light therapy can do for you, it kind of reads like snake oil. It does everything. And you go, how can this possibly be? This has got to be a lot of, smoke and mirrors. It's not. It's all research based. And what it does is it supports the cells in your body. It supports the mitochondria in the cells. And then it just blossoms from there. But it's really good for our clients and our athletes, especially with the special needs community, because it's good for the brain, and anything that's good for the brain helps these kids out. And we also use it for, sometimes the kids they can become agitated or they're just not feeling right. We'll take them into the red light therapy room, and they find a sense of calm, and they'll sit in there and you see one behavior, and then all of a sudden they're just mellow. And then when they leave, the parents are going, thank you. You're not sending them home all wound up. Yeah. So the red light therapy room has been great.
Love it. Howard Tong's Tectonic Fitness. I want to talk about the need and the success it helps bring to the families.
Well, the need is, I always say the need, it's unfortunate. I wish there was no need. I wish that there was no opportunity to be doing this, but there is. And I only recognized this once I got involved with my first client who had autism, limited verbal skills. And it grew from there. And the more I got into understanding what the families go through, and they go through a lot. It is not easy. They go through a lot. And one of the biggest problems that I see is the availability of services. They struggle to find great services for their family member. And these families, some of them, they find a service, but yet they have to drive 20, 30, 40 miles away. They're driving into Burbank. They're driving into the San Fernando Valley, where they should be able to get services here. So in really understanding, because when you get involved with that client, that athlete, you become involved with the family. You become part of that family, and you then get a better understanding of need. And so that is what drove me to do what I'm doing, is the need.
Yeah. You talked about, we talked briefly about some ideas and concepts, but solving problems. But the Venn diagram, I always learned it in a relationship. You want to find the common ground as much as possible, right?
Right.
Yeah. Tell me that when it comes to training your athletes.
So I always use this example, the Venn diagram, and we in the gym we have mirrors everywhere. I've put in so many mirrors in that place, and so I'll grab
house of mirrors.
It is a house of mirrors. So I'll grab a marker and I'll just talk to parents or caregivers and explain that we live in our world, and the kids with autism and special needs live in their world. They are two separate worlds. And we have to, first off, when we're working with these kids, we have to understand that. That is the base, that their world is theirs and here's ours. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to take those two circles and bring them together, and then get those circles to begin to overlap. And that overlap becomes our common ground that we find. There's some days that with kids that I can get that circle to overlap, just a large area of common ground. And then there's other days that sometimes it's very little, or I can't get it. And it's just based on how they're feeling, their mood that day. And you have to be sympathetic to that. But their world is beautiful. Understand one thing about working with kids with special needs. They have no malice in their heart. They're pure. They have pure love. They don't care about politics. They don't care about what's going on socially in this world. So I have an opportunity and a privilege to enter their world and escape the world that we live in. And even if it's for an hour. And so there's where the beauty is in working with these kids.
I love coming to visit, and I always say hi to the athletes.
Right.
High five them. Every once in a while you say, well, don't high five this one. He might think you're coming in. But it's so beautiful. And I also call it like the soulful being, right? We all have this soul amongst us. And when we can find that soul, we can really express ourselves in a beautiful way. Little rapid fire questions that I want to ask you as a successful business person and a successful trainer. What does success mean to you?
Well, obviously it's some part of that answer has to be there is financial success, and that's great. And and but I don't put that as the top of the list. I mean, if you're doing what you're doing and you're really good at what you're doing, that is automatic. My success is that I need to make a difference with each and every one of my athletes, and I need to make a difference with each and every one of my families. And if I can do that, that's success. Everything else that comes along with it, it's just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But there's where I judge my success.
Yeah. And you've also found ways to help these families afford it through a lot of the programs we have in the state of California, which I think is a win-win. Look, if the money's going to be available for us and for these athletes, it's important that you go to Howard and find out what is available and what opportunities you have, so that I'm a big believer, and I want you to expand upon this. I always say that fitness, I love fitness. I'm into fitness. Fitness,
Mr. Ironman.
Oh, thank you. Fitness is the antidote to mental, I hope I say this right, to mental health or mental illness,
100%.
right? I mean, it helps you, right? So much. If you're going through a depressing time, go for a walk in a garden. If you're going through a divorce, and you can start jogging again. If you're, whatever it is, when you're going through a challenging time, stressful at work, that mental ability, marrying it with movement.
Yep. Well, first off, there's been many research studies showing that fitness and exercise is more effective than pharmaceuticals in dealing with depression.
Mm-hmm.
It is far more effective than Prozac, and they've shown that, and it's almost like 75% more effective than taking a pharmaceutical. So when you look at that, and you look at what exercise can do for the soul, it has it not only for just mentally, but it's also for physically, but it's also for longevity. It's also for happiness. So it's a powerful form, if you want to call it a drug, but it's natural. And so fitness is, I can't emphasize enough what fitness can do for people.
Yeah, I love that. I want to get your thoughts on excellence. Excellence, because excellence means so many things to so many people. And
yes,
when you're striving to be successful, how does excellence play in?
Well, so my mom always told me, whatever you do in life, be the best. She said, I don't care what you do. Even if you're a pencil salesman and all you do is you sell a pencil, she said, what you need to do is that pencil, you need to know everything there is about the pencil. Where did the wood come from? Where did the eraser come from? Where did the little metal band? How was it put together? Know what you're doing and be the very best. That's excellence. And for me, is in the fitness industry, is I constantly study, and I never stop. I never sit back and go, oh, I know everything there is to know. It is changing. It evolves. And so in order to keep up a level of excellence, and I'm hard on myself to always meet a standard. So that's excellence for me.
It's interesting in the triathlons, we have the swim, bike, run, and the transition. That's the fourth discipline, is transitioning, getting your gear together and taking off to the next sport. But I also say there's two others, which is the mental side of it and the food side of it, the nutrition side of it. Tell me how that plays into your training.
That one's hard. When we're dealing with the special needs population, we can get them to exercise, and doing it the right way, introducing exercise slowly. One of the biggest things that we have to do is we have to build confidence with our athletes. When I have a brand new client that comes in and they start training with us, we don't come off and put together this great training program and we're going to do upper body, lower body. That's all out the door. What we first have to do is establish trust. Once we establish that trust, they'll trust us, and then we can slowly start introducing exercise. So the exercise part we can get. One of our biggest problems that we see is the nutritional side with the special needs community, and the biggest problem is that there are issues with textures, tastes, smells, and
so it's much different.
It is so much different. And there we try and we do some coaching with the parents, but what the community really needs is we need people that are in the licensed nutritionists that would go out and start studying to work with the population and help retrain parents and also to take away these foods that are not great for these kids and introduce. And it's a long, painful process. And that's one of my biggest complaints is we just don't have that.
Yeah.
And
I can see that when you're trying to connect with your child and they really like chocolate and you give them some chocolate and you guys connect pretty well because, kids like to have a tendency to like certain things. I could see where that could be.
And I can't blame the parents. I don't blame the parents at all because their poor eating habits, because you have to understand that when they don't get what they want, or they want food, or they want their French fries, or they want their chicken nuggets, and you're trying to give them broccoli, carrots, and a chicken breast, they're gonna go. They're going to go crazy. And, the families have to deal with so much that they give in, and I give in too. And you just go, okay, to keep the peace, because it can become overwhelming.
Tell me about, as we close out, one of your biggest successes you would like to share.
Oh my goodness. Biggest.
I'm sure you have
well, I do have quite a few, but we've got a number of successes. I have one young man, so I used to go to the bowling alley and help out with the special needs kids at the bowling alley.
Mm-hmm. and a shout out to Snap Sports.
Oh, yeah. Snap Sports. Absolutely.
They do amazing work as well.
They do amazing work. And I work with one of their hockey players who is, he's blind and has autism. He was born without eyes, and he's a hockey player. Wow. And I work with him, and he's another success story, because I've got him when he came into the gym, he was squatting maybe 135 pounds, and now he's up to squatting over 300 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's doing amazing. Yeah. He's gotten real strong. But the young man I'm talking about, he is, I met him at the bowling alley and, I saw him and he threw a strike. And there was no bumpers or anything. He just got up and he just threw the ball. And as the ball was going down, he just turned around to go get another ball to throw another ball again. He threw a strike, and I went, "Oh my gosh." I said, "That's amazing. You just threw a strike." I said, "You should be on the PBA." And so he turned and looked at me, and I said, "You're awesome, Dashel." And he looked at me. "How do you know my name?" I go, "I know everybody's name." And I said, "Well, actually," and I pointed up at the scoreboard, and he started to laugh, and he said, "Oh my gosh, you got my name from there." So I watched Dashel, do for a year bowling, and I just saw this kid, amazing potential. And I wasn't really joking, is that one day this kid could be on the PBA. And so his parents got his self-determination program going, and Dad said, "We want to train with you." And I started training Dashel, and he has turned out to be one of my top athletes. His strength, where he's come, he wants to be a trainer. And so he's a trainer in training. But as his bowling has progressed, and I work on certain skills to help his bowling, he just several weeks ago bowled in league. And this is in an adult neurotypical league, and he bowled a 300.
Oh, wow.
He bowled a 300. Yeah. There are people that spend their entire life
trying to do that.
And
or trying to get a hole in one golf, or trying.
So I'm now going to sponsor him and really see what I can do to nurture that pathway for him. And hopefully someday he can be a pro bowler and he can earn a living at it.
I love that. Well, you're making a difference.
Love it.
And I'm glad I finally got you in here, because I know
it's been
really hard in between training sessions, but
it's been difficult.
Tectonic Fitness, those that need your wisdom and your guidance and your help, how can they reach out to you?
It's super simple. It's tectonicfitnessgym.com. And all the information and all the programs that we run are located there. You can take a look at the facility. I mean, it's a wonderful website. We've put a lot of effort into it, and that's the easiest way.
Yeah, I love that. Tectonic Fitness, a gym dedicated to special needs athletes, to give them a safe, secure, and fun place to
yes.
out. So thanks again, Howard.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.